All right, welcome back. You've heard what I had to say. Let's hear what you have to say at 412-575-2600. Dave in Clareton is on the line. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for taking my call. Two things tonight. Number one, you kind of touched upon this on your introduction. I kept hearing all night tonight about people talking about the rule. And the one thing that kept coming to my mind was, on instant replay, the play was called a touchdown. So, therefore, in order to reverse it, it has to be indisputable.
Right.
Okay? And every angle I saw, maybe they have a separate angle, you can say, well, it appears. It probably,
right.
well,
That's what I
isn't
said.
Conclusive.
Right.
That's my point there. That in order to overturn it, it had to be obvious. And for them to take, 3 or 4 minutes?
It wasn't obvious. And it's not conclusive. Everything that we saw showed it was not conclusive. That's my point. If they do have something else, then they should make it available for everyone to see. But moreover, that rule stinks. That rule needs to be changed.
And I agree with that. But like you said, there was no video that I saw that said, oh, if that hit the ground. And then secondly, on the two-point conversion, I don't think many people have focused upon this. When you have Gronkowski flanked out onto the right, we talk about how they double-team Brown and then they prepare for those things. Yeah, it's something minor, and I get it. But, maybe in that situation, you double-team him, and maybe a field goal wins it. But that's just minor. But I just wanted to talk about the idea of being conclusive there. I enjoy your show.
That's a good point. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The other thing is what happened on the fake spike, because that's clearly was going to be talked about a lot, and there seems to be some confusion based on what Ben Roethlisberger said after the game. And I'd like to hear further explanation, because apparently he basically said that he came to the line and was thinking about spiking it and was told not to do it. Well, the problem with that is I believe it was third down, and so if you go through with that play and it's incomplete, okay, fine. You kick a field goal on fourth down. If you spike it, you're in the same boat. It just seems risky to me to do that. At that point, once that play was overturned and you had to go back and try to score again and they didn't have a timeout remaining, I think the prudent call would have been just to spike it. So I'm going to be interested to see who actually said what. And listen, if they had a play design, and clearly Eli Rogers said that he had some visual communication with Ben Roethlisberger, they were on the same page, but everybody else was just standing around. Maybe that's how it's supposed to go. It worked against Dallas when they executed it, and maybe. But Bill Belichick in his post-game press conference said they knew it was coming, basically, that they had prepared for that. So you got to make sure those things, and it was a missed opportunity after that. Let's go to Jim in Pittsburgh. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Hey, Bob. 2 points. First of all, I hope that someone in the local media will, yourself or whomever, will be able to find out who at the NFL office exactly made that call and what their background is and what games they've worked and calls they've missed in the past, because I certainly would love to know. But, in regards to looking at that replay, they said that the ball moved. Well, if a 250-pound man lands on a football, which he did, of course it's going to move. That's
that's what I'm saying. It never left his hands, is what I'm saying.
And if you look, they say the ball hit the ground. If you look at the angle that he was going into the ground, the trajectory, I apologize. Yeah, the ball hit the ground because the angle he went into the ground, that's what the ball was headed that way, as was his forward momentum.
It's too much confusion to try to figure out what a catch is, and we've said this for many, many years now. And the rule, I just really think. Thanks for the call. We're going to be talking about this forever. It seems like a lot of people on Twitter. Joey K says, "Tell me definitively that James's right hand wasn't under the ball." Then look at Cook's catch, confirmed versus Houston. I know about that catch. I saw that catch, and that goes against exactly what we saw here. So there's been a lot of inconsistency with what is a catch, and that's, again, to my point, I'm more interested in the rule being changed now so we don't have this kind of confusion moving forward. Tornado on Twitter says, if James's hand was underneath the ball, wouldn't it then have been a touchdown? Yes. Line 5, Ken and Butler. Hey, Ken, how you doing?
Yeah, I tell you, this is crazy, but as I was watching the play, how you doing, Bob?
I'm good. How are you, Ken?
I was watching the play, and I watched it like you, about 50 years watching ball. I watched his knee go down. He extended. I don't know what's the difference between that and making a movement after somebody catches it by running it.
Well, they say that you have to make before you become a runner, you have to go through the running motion, then you're a runner. So because he didn't do that, but he made a football play in that he lunged for the end zone.
Right.
So.
And as soon as the ball is extended over the goal line,
right.
Basically, isn't that a touchdown? And if you have control.
Again, different set of rules for receivers.
You seem to have control.
No, it's a runner versus a receiver, and they're two distinct different things there. So that's what I mean. I would like to see some just continuity about just rules in general, so that everything has to be, go back to the rule book and read. It seems like it's all we've done now. We've seen 4 different entries from the NFL giving, definitions about what is a catch. I don't think people know what a catch is, and it shouldn't come down to that in critical games like this. Thanks for the call. All right, let's go out to line 3. That's Brian in Altoona, Pennsylvania. What's up, Brian? How you doing?
Hey, Bob. How are you?
All right.
I was really happy tonight with the secondary playing man-on-man defense against Brady. You take away that zone defense, and I think get at the quarterback. I think we could beat them with that man-on-man coverage. I think we took a lot of positives out of this game.
There were. And I thought they played well, and in the first half was exactly what, if you're a Steeler fan, you would have hoped for in time of possession, dominating, third downs, making plays, scoring touchdowns in the red zone. All of that happened. But, in the end, it's kind of disconcerting when everyone knew, once they got the ball back. And I thought the Steelers got too complacent. Chris Hoke and I disagree with that. But I thought they could have been a little bit more aggressive with the ball in order to keep it away from Tom Brady. So
you've got too many weapons on offense. And that defense was tired, and they were just waiting for the run.
And exactly, that's my point. I would have rather had Ben Roethlisberger, who's my best player right now, throw the ball 3 different times. I think I would have had more of a, and I understand that if it falls incomplete, it stops the clock. I get all of that. But I want to be aggressive. I don't want to just worry about that. I want to keep the ball, because you saw what happened. He carved him right down the field quickly, and I don't think anyone was surprised by that. We're due for a break. Thanks, man. Appreciate the call. 412-575-2600. Air your opinions right here, right now. Pittsburgh CW.